Jeremy Ellis. I recently posted this image on Twitter at Roxetta. It's a Blender startup if anyone wants to do some 3D printing. Make sure you go to Blender Download. It's the one with the .org. Download it. If you go down, 32-bit works fine. Blah, 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 blah. You can install it. Now when you get to Blender, it first looks like File New, Reload. This is how it first looks. And I want you to be aware of Object Edit Mode. The little image we're working with, Tab and Ctrl Tab are quick ways. If I hit Tab right now, there I'm in Edit Mode. See, it's Edit Mode. There's Object Mode. If I hit it again, that should switch me into Object Mode. Okay, when adding new images or objects, be in Object Mode. Let me show you what happens if I'm in Edit Mode. I'm editing that image, not that one. You have to switch to Object Mode to get into that one. But say I'm in Edit Mode and I add another UV sphere. Let's move it over. Notice this, I'm still in Edit Mode here. It's kind of important that you switch to Object Mode before adding new objects, unless you want them to be one object. Okay, that's a bit of an important point. Okay, so we've done Tab. Control Tab just switches you in Edit Mode. If I go into Edit Mode, Control Tab allows me to switch between faces. This is a face, that's a face. Shift Tab clicks a bunch of faces. And vertex mode. Vertex mode allows me to select with a shift key, and I'm right clicking to select those. Those are edges. Okay, so Control Tab brings up that. Right clicking, shift right clicking, and left clicking. I just talked about. Right click selects them. Left click, if you end up moving anything, left click keeps it. But watch what happens if I move this and then right click again. It goes back to wherever it was before. So right click is kind of undo, do. We already did shift. Now what mouse wheel? Here's mouse wheel. That's regular mouse wheel. I'm pushing down the mouse wheel and moving the mouse. Okay, so that's a rotate. Now I'm holding the shift button, moving the mouse. Allows me to pan. See how that's different than here's the shift button off, is rotate. Here's just the mouse wheel. Really important to be able to get a sense of those ones. There's the shift, mouse wheel, drag, mouse wheel. Okay, so P and J. P separates. So let's select. I'm in one object here. This is an object. This is one combined object. That's a different object. If I just P by selection, now what I've done is, let's go into object mode again. I can move that, but see, this is now a second object. It's been pulled away from the first object. That's quite useful. Now, say I want to join these together. The other command was Ctrl-J. So I click that, and then I shift-click that, and now Ctrl-J. It's hard to tell that anything's happened. Well, most things were moving. So if I go into edit mode, see, now I can edit them together. They're not separate objects. And I could just kind of put that back, but it's not really back. Okay, so autoline. Ctrl-R. Ctrl-R allows me to, better get back into edit mode. Edit mode. Ctrl-R allows me to add some lines. Okay, so there, I added a line, and now I can position it perfectly right there. There, I've added a line. That's quite a bit different than just K. Watch what happens with K. K gives me a pen, and I click, and I return, and now I've added the line, but it doesn't go all the way around. Watch Ctrl-R. Ctrl-R can put the line kind of around. Okay, they're similar. Ctrl-R, if you can use it, use Ctrl-R. U is an advanced thing. If I select everything, U, I get to unwrap it. We're not doing that today. F is to fill. Say I have a point there, and what could I fill? Let's move this little block out again. Whoa, what happened? Let's go to faces and move this block away. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go back to edge mode. This and this, I've selected two things. If I hit F, it makes a line between them. But if I select 3 points and I hit F, it fills it in. See, it's filled in. V cuts, and V is very useful if you're doing faces or mouths. Look at this. It's about the only time I ever go into edge mode. There I've got that edge selected, and I'm going to V, and now it's like I've made a mouth of some sort. Okay. So G, I've probably done this a couple of times. Let's just, in object mode, I'm going to select that. G moves it around. Circles are hard to rotate. I'm going to go through gross, G, R, O, S, and E. Now, rotate, I'm rotating it around. It's got a little square on it because there are two types of rotation. So there was the little square. Now, X, Y, Z is quite interesting. For all these, we can G in the X direction, we can G in the Y direction, we can G in the Z. Notice Z is blue, X is red, Y is green. Now, we can rotate in the X direction, Y direction, Z direction. We can scale in the X direction, Z direction, Y direction. We can also just scale the whole thing. Okay, these things also work in edit mode. Let's switch over to this object. Let's go into edit mode. I'm just going to work with this square here. So I can go into vertex mode. I'm going to select all of these edges, vertexes, and I'm going to scale it. I'm going to G move it. I'm going to rotate it one direction, rotate it another direction, rotate it with the Z, rotate with the X, rotate with the Y, G with the. You got the general idea? Okay. Obese mode is quite interesting. I'm just going to subdivide this so I can show you. This, say I wanted to make a mountain. G makes a peak. But in obese mode, watch down here when I hit O. Let's just unselect. There. That shows up. If I hit O again, come on. Okay, let's leave it on. Watch the difference between when I G. There's a circle, and this is the circle of effect. That has almost no big effect, but look what happens. It affects all those other points. And you can make quite a smooth mountain. I haven't subdivided this enough. Let me just try subdividing it a little bit more. Select the whole object. I'm going to box select. Okay, if I subdivide it, that was W, subdivide. Now if I do the G with the circle, see, it kind of makes a bit of a mountain out of it instead of a point. I always take the obese mode off when I'm finished working with it because it's a real pain to work with. Extrude. Extrude is about the coolest thing you learn how to do. Extrude. Okay, this side extrude, this side extrude. It extrudes a three-dimensional object. Now A, you see, I've been working, I've got some things selected. Hit A, it unselects. Hit A again, it selects everything in that object. Sometimes you want to scale the whole object. Sometimes you just want to make sure nothing here. I'll show you a problem. Say I select this face. Then I'm working over here and I select this face. Well, if I go, it's just making a huge mess. So if you hit A and then select that face, then you're only working in the one that you've selected. There are other ways of selecting. There's B for box select, which selects everything it sees. If you hit invisible mode, then box select can actually select things behind the object as well. I switch off invisible mode when I'm not using it. C is pretty much the same. Let's say to get out of these. C does circle select, and you can just continue. You can zip along. You can't rotate in that mode though, which is a bit of a pain. C, you can just zip along. If I hold the shift key down, I unselect. The no shift key, I select. Very useful. Exit to get out of there. Continuing on, I've already done WS for subdivide. Let's try WC for shortest path and WMA for merge. Merge is super useful. If we have two objects that, let's Shift D, these 2 points, let's say I line them up really close together and I go to vertex mode and I want these 2 points to be exactly the same. Well, if I zoom in, you'll notice they aren't touching. But if I select that one and select that one and W, then M for merge, M, and then A for, which one's A? At first, whatever. Now they're actually one thing, and that, when you get into complex shapes, sometimes you mess up. You got to go through and select a bunch of things and set them into one spot. Really useful. I already did the WS subdivide. Shortest path is just kind of handy. Say I've selected that and that. The keyword is WC for shortest path. So WC just selects the shortest point between those 2 points. Say I selected this one and this one, WC, it somehow figured out the shortest path. I've put scam to remember the S was subdivide, the C was shortest path, the MA, reverse order, is merge. X, Z, Z, and Z. X simply deletes vertices, edges, so I could delete those vertices. Z switches to wireframe, which is another way of doing invisible, and is very useful. You see there's kind of invisible, shows them up behind. Wireframe really gets rid of them. Ctrl-Z redoes, whereas shift-ctrl-Z undoes again. So Ctrl-Z redoes, and we're getting close to the end. 0, Ctrl-Alt-0 is for camera location. If I hit the 0, and it's the number pad 0, this is where my camera is. See, you can see the little camera right there. So 0 toggles it on, 0 toggles it off. But every once in a while, say you want to take a picture from here, Ctrl-Alt-0 sets that as the picture location, and now 0 toggles it on and off. You have to zoom out quite a bit to do that. Ctrl-Alt-0, there we go. Now that's my camera. Now when it comes to actually taking pictures of things, a couple things to be aware of. This is where your image or your movie is going to be located. This is really important. I don't know why it doesn't start off as MPEGs. I always get my students to set it to MPEG 4 and audio MP3, just so that they're ready, and then I actually get them to save that as the default, save startup file. Normally I would just have the block in the middle there instead of all this mess. But that was find a saving spot. So find, create a new directory, whatever, find where you want to save things, accept them. Change ping, which is just a picture, to MPEG. And the way you actually make your movie, here's your timeline. I would just set the first one to 100 frames. It's going to be about 4 seconds. And you just click here. And that's where F12 and Control F12. Let's do F12. That's F12. It makes a picture, which you can then save that picture, save image as. Okay? Quite a bit different. Oh, you have to escape out of there. Quite a bit different than Control F12, which is this button. There's render. And that actually starts making your movie. We haven't done any movie stuff, so that doesn't actually make sense. But while I'm here, why don't I just show you what this movie thing is. In object mode, say I wanted to move this around. I move my keyframe. Notice it left a little yellow marker. I move that around, and then I move it up here. I'm going to select this one. Better go back to the start and put that in the right spot. But basically, when you play this movie, all those objects move around, and then when you hit animate, it actually starts out, see that it's making a movie of those objects moving around. That's it. Quickie Blender. Hope you enjoyed it. Visit my site, rocksetta.com, and I'm at Rocksetta on Twitter.